Hey gang, John Bacarella here with your Lake St. Clair Fishing Report, brought to you by Sportsman's Direct. It is Thursday, October 20th, and it has been kind of a wild weather week, and the winds have been howling all week, and water temperatures holding. I had a guy call the other day and say he's getting, he's seeing all kinds of different water temp reports all over the lake, and I said, yeah, it'd be if you consider. If you count being like plus or minus 2 degrees for the whole lake all over the place, yeah, so call it 50-ish. You might find 48 in tight on a cold morning, and you might find 52 for the high temp out somewhere. So call it 50-ish. The whole lake is about 50-ish, and it's probably going to bump up just a degree or two because we got a warm front coming in. But probably the bigger news out there for at least for the last 5 days, well, I should say this. Don't believe the weatherman. Like, it's almost, these guys, I don't know what their deal is. I've never seen them be so wrong in my whole life as they've been in the last year or so. So I don't know if somebody's controlling the weather or what and like blowing these guys' forecast up. But Sunday was supposed to blow like a banshee, and it blew a little bit in the morning and then it died. And it was gorgeous and the sun came out and a lot of you guys got out there and pounded perch and pounded walleye and all that. But the point being, I don't know if these guys have a clue what's going on. But what they're saying for this weekend is that today is like the last bad weather day, and it's supposed to get warm, like up even into the low 70s for the next couple of days. The winds are supposed to be relatively high, but it looks like maybe Saturday is going to be the pick day. I don't know. But anyways, so I guess just watch, like I always say, watch those weather forecasts and wind forecasts within 24 hours of when you're planning on going, and then adjust accordingly. I've been trying to get a good satellite image, but it's been so darn cloudy and rainy. There hasn't been diddly for a good satellite image. There'll probably be a good one tomorrow. I think it's supposed to be sunny, but this report's already going to be out there. So check your satellite images as far as water clarity goes. My guess is going to be there's going to be some cleaner water tucked in on the American shoreline down towards the Detroit River. But the good news is if you're a guy chasing walleyes, that dirty water is probably your friend. I mean, last year in the fall was when we had that monster walleye caught down here, and they were fishing in like chocolate milk water. So the water clarity is not going to mean much if you're trolling for walleyes. If you're jigging, that's another story. And the jig bite down there on the Detroit River has been really good, and not just down in the river, but up and out of the river. The first mile or so coming out of the Detroit River, the guys jigging up in the channel out there have been doing fantastic too. So a shout out to Jerry Toner, Walter Cross and their crews. They've been out, they've been posting pictures. They've been just spanking the walleyes down there in that Detroit River area. There's also been a heck of a walleye bite going on up in the St. Clair River. The whippers at night, doesn't seem like they mind the dirty water either. They've been catching them. The jiggers have been catching fish, although again, generally with the jigging you need cleaner water. So it's all a matter of the wind and the wind direction, where that dirty water is going to be, if it's going to be on the Canadian side or the American side, or should say where the clean water is going to be, or if it's going to be out deep. So you're just going to kind of have to poke around and find the right water clarity for whatever you're trying to do out there. But the fish are definitely there. The walleye fishing up along the shoreline has really picked up big time too. Here, even in around the shop, saw a report from Mike Coleman out there, who normally is known for catching lots of muskies there in the spillway, and it looked like he's catching more walleyes than muskies on the muskie baits right now. So imagine that. So in the middle of the day. So that'll tell you that, I mean, there's some quality fish all along the shoreline right now. So all of these different places. I had a buddy that was out last week, actually before this front came through, and they started up on the north end and worked their way all the way down to the Detroit River one evening, and they caught fish at every single spot they went to that night. So some spots were better than others, obviously, but they literally caught fish everywhere, and I think they started up by Brandenburg and worked their way down just at shore access points. So places like Brandenburg, Harley Ensign, South River Road, and anywhere else down. I mean, then you got the spillway, you got the point at Metro. Anywhere you can get in and cast for these walleyes, especially at night, there's a lot of fish. Even heard reports of walleyes coming into some of the marinas. So some of the guys fishing for perch in the marinas have actually been catching some walleyes too. And I mean, if there's bait fish are there, those predator fish are going to be there too. And this time of the year, the feed bag is on and they are going to follow the bait fish in. If that school of bait fish pushes into a marina and there's a pot of walleyes on them, they're going to follow them right in there. They're going to push them into a wall somewhere and it's going to be a feeding frenzy. That's just the way it works this time of the year. They're going to feed with reckless abandon. There's no place for the bait fish to hide right now. The weeds are down, and with all these high winds we've had, a lot of these weed beds are tore up. And they're just gone now. So the fish are going to have, their only way to hide is to school up and try to give their buddy next to them away to that predator fish coming in. So that's the way it works. That's life in the fast lane. But perch action, haven't heard a ton the last couple of days because the weather's just been horrid. But before the weather turned horrid, like on this last weekend, the guys down in that south end did catch some really nice fish. I know that just coming up out of the Detroit River, they were catching fish. Also had a report from up on the north end of the lake and some of the canals up there that there's been pods of perch moving in and out. It's kind of that here one day and then gone the next kind of deal. But they're still catching a lot of fish down there, or I should say down there by the mouth of the Detroit River. It's just going to be weather. It's going to be a water clarity thing. But a note that I did forget to mention to you guys last week for down there was that if you're in clear water, and I don't know if you're going to have that problem or not this week, but if you're in clear water, try using a slip bobber and getting away from the boat. And I know you guys are going to say, but I'm in like 14, 15, 16 feet of water. I get it, but the fish can still see the boat up there, guys, and the big fish stay away from the boat. A lot of times they will just move just outside of that, and pay attention to where the sun shadow is too, where the sun is throwing that shadow. Sometimes that shadow moving back and forth across those fish, depending on where that sun is relative to the boat, that pushes these fish around too, believe it or not. It does do it. I don't know if they think that there's like diving birds like cormorants or something up above them, or maybe they think it's a big fish moving over the top of them, but those shadows a lot of times from the boats will move these fish around. So get away from the boat, get away from the shadow of the boat, throw a slip bobber out there, and your catch rate on these bigger fish is gonna go up in clear water out there. Let's see, trying to think of what else I got to talk about here. I was going to talk about the wind a little bit. You're going to notice that the water levels out on the lake have really dropped, okay? And this is really, I mean, it's a function of a couple of different things, but one of the big things right now is that we've had strong north winds and strong offshore winds, and what that tends to do is these offshore winds push that water over to the Canadian side. And when you get consistently strong 15, 20 mile an hour winds for days and days and days, it actually moves a lot of water over there. And then when you get a little bit of a northerly component in it, it tends to push that water out of the lake. And it does. I mean, if you're used to fishing like the St. Clair River or the Detroit River, and if you get a wind that's blowing with the current, you're going to notice that current picks up substantially, right? Well, it's moving a lot of water. Now, maybe up in Lake Erie, you're not going to notice the difference in the water depth with that volume going out. But on Lake St. Clair, with all that water pumping out of the Detroit River, going down to Lake Erie, you will notice it. And I've seen it before when we get like big strong blows like this for a long time. Sometimes the water level never really recovers until we get into the winter months. So right now that water level has dropped, I don't know, I'm going to guess it's at least a foot in the last probably 10 days or so. And, it may not come up very fast. It may not come up at all because we sure as heck haven't had much rain either. So I do know up on Superior, though, the water levels were still above the median levels. So it's not like we've got a huge shortage of water or anything right now. It's just that the winds have really moved that water around and pushed it out of the lake. So you will probably notice it at the boat launches, in the canals. I see it every day driving down to the store when I look over at the spillway. I've got spots on those bridges marked, and the water's down quite a bit, and the shoreline's even down quite a bit from what I've seen it. And man, probably it's the lowest I've seen it in a couple of years anyways, since probably before that big high water push that we had. So that was the other thing I wanted to mention. So water levels are definitely down. Water temps are pretty much stabilized right around that 50-ish point. Perch fishing's going. Smallmouth fishing is going out there too. I know that they are still catching smallies out there. The guys are not talking about it a lot. There's been a lot of fish down there on that south end, along with the perch and the walleyes, all down in that area and in the Detroit River as well. Although it sounds like for some reason these fish in the Detroit River are a little bit on the smaller side. But then there's a lot of fish up on that north end too, like up by the Firecracker. But with the water temperatures where they are now, you're probably going to be better off playing the water clarity. Did I say water temps? Yeah, with water temps where they are now, you're going to be better off playing the water clarity and just fishing in areas where you can, you know, get better presentations, because there are going to be fish all over the place. There's no reason why these fish can't be up in real shallow, and you're still going to have fish holding really deep too, which I know doesn't necessarily help you finding them, but a lot of you guys have got that, all the side imaging technology and everything anyways now, and with the weeds down, you should be able to hunt them down pretty good out there with all that tech. So maybe just fish based on water clarity, because the water temp's really not going to matter a whole lot right now. And usually for me, once that water gets down into the 40s is when the smallie bite for me generally slows down. But I know a lot of you guys are still able to catch a lot of fish out there all the way up to ice up, and you know, hats off to you for that. But for me, when it gets down into the mid 40s, I'm usually done with the whole smallie thing. Let's see, we're getting close to the dock season, although for some reason the boats really are coming out slower this year than I've seen in a long time, and it's probably a manpower issue. But usually the dock season gets going, and I know guys are catching crappies in some of the marinas. I am seeing reports of crappies being caught, but there's still a ton of boats in there. So most of the marinas, even if you do have permission, most of these fish are going to be up underneath boats and stuff. And even for you guys getting in there with kayaks, it makes it tougher, because the fish they've got a lot of structure to be back under with all the boats. So it makes it harder to get at them. Once the boats are out, the fish have got to go to whatever available structure there is, and it makes it a lot easier for you guys to track them down. Update on that Crocker Road boat launch. That boat launch is going to be, well, I shouldn't say is, it's supposed to be done by the end of November. That's the latest word I've got on it. They're probably not going to put the docks in if they get it done by that point, but at least that Crocker Road boat launch hopefully will be done by November, and it'll be ready to go for the springtime for you guys, and hopefully we'll be able to get ice access out of it too, and it should be good ice access coming out of that old Admiral Marine Canal, going out there along that rock jetty, as opposed to going out off of that slop coming in, that muck that builds in that other corner. So that ought to be a big improvement for all of us going out there. I think that's really about all I've got for this week. With that said, check out that satellite view that should come out tomorrow when we get the clear skies. Be able to see water clarity. You'll be able to see where all the gunk is out there in the lake, where it's all turned up and where it's clear. And we do have some good, it's supposed to be nice warm weather, maybe our last warm weather shot before the next cold front comes in, that should cool us down and get that water temp really down into the 40s. So with that said, we got great emerald shiners, both walleye size and perch size, at both stores, and we'll have them waiting there for you for the weekend. Hey, if you like this video content and you want to get updated as soon as the next video is out there, hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon, and you'll get notified as soon as the next video is up.